Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Tereak Talks, to a Premier League preview show on a Monday. Yes, we are doing one on a Monday evening. I wasn't here able to give you one on Friday evening. I do apologise for that, but I am here to do a Premier League preview show for the midweek games, for the extra game weeks, but also with a little bit of a twist, guys, because I'm going to be reviewing and we're going to be reviewing together the weekend fixtures as well. I thought I'd add that in because we don't have too many fixtures to look at this week. There's only five games, I believe. Yeah, six games that are playing this week. So in the midweek. So yeah, we've got four other games. 8 other teams that aren't going to be playing this midweek. So yeah, let's look ahead to the weekend's fixtures, including the FA Cup semi-finals, and because there is plenty to talk about. And if you are watching live, big up to everyone that is here right now. I love for seeing you in the place. I will also be presenting you the updated Premier League predictions table and the current standings for the predictor of the month. We are entering the last 9 days now in April, the last 9 days. So we've got plenty more games to speak about, and there's still plenty to play for the month of April as we are approaching the end of the season. We are in the business end, ladies and gents, so it'll be good to get your thoughts. And don't forget, if you want to enter the predictions league, you know what you need to do. Get your predictions in the comment section at the end of this stream for tomorrow night. Well, the games that begin tomorrow night. And it's Arsenal taking on Chelsea. But before we do that, let me big up everyone who's in the place right now, because we've got quite a few of you in here, and I love to see that. We've got Shay in the building, says big up to T, the legend. We've got plenty of comments, but a lot of them are from Casey. Big up to Casey, and he's singing the real Slim Shady for himself. I'm Alan Casey. I'm not going to sing the rest, but you know it. I'm Alan Casey. Yes, I'm the real Casey. Yeah. Big up to yourself, Casey. He seems to have adopted this thing and he loves it. It's definitely his own. We've got, as it is a part of the TTF with Casey when he first came in. I don't know. Guess who's back? I don't know. It was one of them natural things, and now he's just embodied himself as Eminem, but as Casey. Big up to yourself. Of course, he's going to be rooting for Chelsea. Of course, I expect that. We'll definitely be speaking about your Man United team. That's for sure. Big up to Hanno in the building. Nice to see you in here. Says hi to Reek. Let me hop on for the Chelsea part. I'm just going to be doing it ever so quickly because I got to do another stream tonight, Hanno. So I do apologise on that, my man. Big up to yourself, Pack. Says Yo T. Back to the single life for me today. Hope everyone's had a Monday has been a little bit better than mine. Pax, I'm sorry to hear that. I am sorry to hear that indeed, my man. And what I like to say in these situations is when one door closes, that means another one will open. So it wasn't meant to be, my man. Yeah, we move on. It hurts. Time is the best healer in these situations. I remember going through this myself, and you'll say things that to try and make yourself feel better, but it doesn't really make you feel much better until time, and that's where time will help in those situations, because it does hurt when you've been with someone. So yeah, I do understand, but it ended for a reason, and you're a catch already, Pack, so don't worry about that. Now, I already know how loyal you are, so anyone will be lucky to have you, Pax, because I know how loyal you are to the TTF. Big up to yourself, my bro. Big up to Niall in the building here too. Love to see you in here. And yeah, and everyone else that is watching afterwards. There's no better way for yourself, Pax, and for everyone else who is at a potentially rough start to the week or stressful, because you know how life gets, work and that, and life, personal life, but there's no better distraction than talking about the football, unless your team lost on the weekend, of course, then that just adds to the misery. But I'm sure I don't know if talking about Man United will help you, Pax. But yeah, let's get into it. Let us get into the and reviewing the games for this weekend. Sorry for that little pause. I was just having a little sip of my drink, and I might do that quite a few times tonight. So do apologise for that. My throat's feeling a little bit dry. I think there's a lot of colds going around, but that's enough waffle for me. Let's get into what happened this weekend. And we got to start with the FA Cup fixtures. Guys, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. We got to talk about the one that happened yesterday first. We're not doing it in chronological order for the FA Cup because we've got to talk about the biggest talking point. Manchester United scraping past Coventry through penalties, winning on penalties by 4-2 after being 3-0 up. 3-0 up until the 70th minute, where they capitulated and allowed Coventry to get back into the game. And if it wasn't for Haji Wright's toenail being offside, Coventry would have won it through Victor Torp, but his goal was disallowed. Just when you think Man United couldn't be any more of a shambles than they already have been this season, when you think this game's under control, they're expected to win. This was a huge banana skin in the fact that nobody really believed Coventry could do anything going into it, unless you thought that Man United could capitulate, which we saw. But if Man United were to lose, it would all but surely mean that Eric Ten Hag loses his job at the end of the season at the very latest. And he still might not be in the hot seat come next season. But you're thinking 3-0, okay, they've progressed. Maybe you're looking at, Man United, what he's done there in such difficult circumstances under that culture, with that group of players that he has right there, trying to imprint his philosophy, which is definitely failing from what we're seeing in the league and in other elite competitions like the Champions League. That is not working it's just not working this season. But to get to 2 cup finals, most managing all that adversity, the amount of injuries that he's had, and that's another topic in terms of how much does the blame lie on Ten Hag for that. But with all of this surrounding, making another cup final, I mean, he ultimately has got there, but over in a 3-0 win, you think, okay, they've done what they've meant to do. They're going to face their Manchester rivals in Man City. They've got an opportunity to avenge last season's final. And you think, because of how Manchester United have been and Man City not looking as strong as they were this point last season, you think that, yeah, maybe they could have a chance. And if they win 2 trophies in 2 years, give credit to Eric Ten Hag in that sense. But the way they got there is the most embarrassing part. 3-0 up against mid-table championship fodder who aren't going to make the playoffs, I don't believe. I'm not sure how much of a chance they realistically think they can have in making the playoffs this season. I've not really looked at that, but to be 3-0 up against any team, you could be 3-0 up against Manchester City, for goodness sakes. And if you drop that, you would be having a lot of shame and embarrassment about that because you can't even manage that. But against Coventry, who could have won it in the end, is outright embarrassing. And I don't actually put a lot of blame on Eric Ten Hag for this, although I'd like to. And it'd be easy for me to, because I don't really rate him. And I rate him as a coach, but I don't think he's the right man for Manchester United. And I'd be happy for him to stay. But with just some of his decision making especially the way he comes out in interviews and his press conferences. He wouldn't fill me with any confidence himself as a Manchester United fan. He seems kind of oblivious to some of the issues that are going on, and he doesn't really acknowledge them or take any accountability for them. But I won't put that to blame on him, because he's put his team out there. He's coached. He set his team up that have done well to get a 3-goal lead. Coventry had a few shots, but they weren't really creating anything of real note up until that moment. But we've seen them capitulate many times. Against Chelsea in the 95th minute, they were 3-2 up, end up losing that game. Even against Liverpool, I know they were 2-1 up in control, but then a stupid decision from Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the box to make that tackle, giving Liverpool away back into the game. There's been plenty of others. Even the game that they won against Wolves away from home, they capitulated in similar fashion. They're 3-1 up and ends up going to 3-3. And I know they won it in the end, a bit like Coventry, but it was quite embarrassing in terms of how they let that game almost get away from them. And you've seen, and those are just the ones off the top of my head. But to do that against this level of opposition, it's disgraceful. And I think what's the biggest disgrace is Anthony's celebration. Cupping of the years. Do you have any self-awareness, my brother? Who you're representing? You're representing the biggest club in the country, one of the biggest clubs in world football. And that's just happened where Coventry have been 2 penalty kicks away from knocking you out after being 3 goals up, and you decide this is the right time to go cut my ears. Who cares? All the Coventry players could have done that to him when they equalised. You've got to have some shame. Harry Maguire, fair play to you, my man. Like, you actually understand the club that you're representing. Yes, a lot of Man United fans will look at you and say, you're not good enough to wear that shirt. But there's one thing for damn sure, that Harry Maguire has not behaved in a way where he doesn't understand who he's representing, and he doesn't understand the weight of that shirt and the class and the history that shirt has. As Anthony, one of the most expensive signings the club has made, in doing what he did there, after already seeing him celebrate like how hard he did against Newport. I saw Kobe Mainoo score his first goal in professional football against Newport, and he was very calm, chilled, relaxed. Those are, like, this is what I mean. Kobe Mainoo, your Alejandro Garnachos, they're the ones you build around. And I know they divide opinion. Well, not necessarily Mainoo. A lot of Man United fans love him, but Garnacho divides a lot of opinion. But I think whatever you think about him, his ability-wise, he definitely does know about Man United, and he's got the mentality to show at such a young age to take on so much responsibility and score big goals for Man United and contribute in big ways. It shows that he does have that mentality. Whereas some of the likes of Anthony, who else? Who else really? Was that Anthony? I'm not sure he quite does. I know he's the one that just springs to mind because of that celebration. I thought it was horrendous. Let me see what you're saying in the chat, guys. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna start from the top here. See what you're saying. Our season basically overall was that game. Yep, it was. It was indeed. Yeah. You seem to score some good goals. I know you have not scored many, but you seem to score plenty of goals. But well, not many, but yeah, some good goals which we saw in that game. I thought the first goal you scored was really good. Dalot getting into the box from McTominay, good header from Harry Maguire. But then the goals that you conceded and just letting Coventry overall in the end get 18 shots on your goal. Got a championship side getting 18 shots. It's embarrassing again. Another reason. Onana should have been sent off. What for? I'm not too sure about that. We need Wenger's offside rules. We want these goals. Yeah, and I've spoken about that as before, my brother King. Big up to yourself each and every time. I've said that in terms of the offside rule. I think there does need a change, especially when you implement VAR, because the offside rule was made for when VAR wasn't a thing. If it was in doubt, they usually used to give the benefit to the attackers. Now there is no benefit of the doubt for the attackers. There's only black or white. Where you never level with us. I hope you never level though, are you? Remember we used to say, "Oh, he looks level." It's never that anymore. It's always you're either on or off. And I don't think that's why offside was brought in. But yeah, currently, whilst the rule is there, he is offside. But I'm talking about in general. I think the offside rule needs to change. It does, because that's not what offside was brought in for, to rule goals out like that. Coventry deserved it, but we always scrape over the line. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I've noticed with you guys in cup competitions. It happens. We basically got robbed from the greatest comeback in history. Yeah, exactly, King. I don't know how much that would have meant for you, being someone who's lived in Coventry for a while. 100%. And knowing a lot of people from Coventry myself, because it's not too far really, it's in the West Midlands, same county. But yeah, it would have meant a lot to them. Brilliant coach, 3 cup finals in 2 seasons, and we're rubbish. I don't know if he's a brilliant coach. I don't think he's been brilliant for you, but that's something that you can be proud of. Man United, though, you are the big Man United. That's kind of expected for you guys. Really, that should be the minimum, given the oppositions that you faced in times. I know you beat Liverpool. That was a big feat that you did, but you have had some favourable cut runs in that time. And if you would have got knocked out, it would have been pretty embarrassing. Let me say. Let's have a look. Haji Wright and Ellis Sims are a handful. Absolutely. They were very good. Must big up to yourself each and every time. Eric Ten Hag in for me. Ultimately, if you can avoid signing injury-prone players, the philosophy will come good, hopefully. Plus, second season is harder for a lot of managers in general. I hear that. The second season is because people kind of know what they expect from you now. So teams know how to set up against you, really. But I don't think his philosophy, he didn't really implement his philosophy last season. He kind of abandoned his principles after the Brighton and Brentford defeats at the beginning. So he kind of settled for that counter-attack approach. Now he's just kind of opened up a little bit and he's tried to create more of a pressing system. But you guys have been so open in that midfield. Doesn't matter who you play in there, Pax. Doesn't matter who you play. You have looked so open in there, and there's good players in there. Like, people rate Casemiro. I know he's kind of getting past it now, and he's beyond. He's past his peak, but good player in Casemiro. Match him up with Kobe Mainoo. That you should be having a much better balance in that. You shouldn't. Again, I've seen you. It's not even about the packs. It's not even necessarily about the players that you've got not being quite good enough. They are better than the opposition players that you're coming up against most of the time, and you're getting exposed. It's not like you was playing Arsenal or Liverpool or even a Chelsea, because like Chelsea haven't been good this season. You know, they've got quality in there, and individually they've got a lot of quality. But with you with overall in the season, I've seen you come up against much less quality, and they've dominated you. Like the Brentford game, dominated, should have won that. Bournemouth coming up against you, less quality in that team, but always impacting and dominating games. Home and away, Bournemouth home and away. You should have lost both of them, but you lost one in the end and drew the other. Two things can coexist in football. It's great to do well in the domestic cups, but Eric Ten Hag's tactics management has been way below the level required. Absolutely. Agree, Pax. Ten Hag was brilliant before Man United and will be after. The common denominator here is Man United culture and players, says Moss. At least we found a new centre-back in Casemiro. I don't think it was Casey says. I don't think he'll be playing there that often, to be honest, Casey. Anthony represents everything that's wrong with the modern day football, says King. Again, I agree. That sense of entitlement and not really understanding his situation and where he's coming from, putting his hands to his ears. Ultimately, you're a failure, mate, in terms of the signing. You've got a long way to go to get to be a first team mainstay. With the money that was paid for you, you've lost your place to Alejandro Garnacho, a 18, 19-year-old, and they paid a big money for you. Have some shame, have some humility. Comebacks in order or versus Man United. Level like so many should be allowed. Getting advantage was the old rule, and that was right exactly. Big up, big up Manchakushina, big up to yourself, Santi. Begrudgingly smashing the like after your Coventry tweet. Big up to yourself, Santi. Mate, Santi. Any football fan that wasn't a Man United fan wanted Coventry to win that. I can guarantee you, just because of the story that was in there. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a rivalry, Man United, because it's Arsenal, Man United. I'm an Arsenal fan, but yeah, seriously, man, I was so hoping that was going to be a goal that was going to be allowed, but I was gutted. I was heartbroken when it was offside, just like many others. Every fan across the world would have felt that same way, not just the Arsenal ones. So yeah, plenty. Moss is talking about Xerxes, brilliant, and yeah, Xerxes is a very good player. I'm not sure if he's Arsenal level, yet, to be honest. And when I say Arsenal level, not that he's not good enough, it's more to tell him to play for us. I don't think he's going to be the striker that would increase our level. To be honest, I think that's what we need to look for in terms of striker. Moss, very good. I like him though, neat, tidy player. And I do think he should be making a Premier League move. I do think he would have he would do well, but he might end up going to Juventus if they sell Vlahovic. Trust me, I turned off the TV. That was embarrassing. Didn't even watch the pens. I hear it, man. I hear it. The celebrations from Anthony was terrible. At Hoyland, I kind of let him off because he scored the winning goal. It makes sense for him to feel like that, go and celebrate with the fans. So I'm not really having too much at him, but Anthony's was madness. Anyone level would handle the Prem physicality easy, along with Jonathan David. I don't think so. I don't think it would be as easy as you say, because we've seen much bigger, stronger players not necessarily do that. But again, yeah, I do think he's a good player. I don't think we'll sell Jesus either, but yeah, that's for another day, another topic, another day. But yeah, so spoke about the Coventry United one. Let's talk about Man City Chelsea, because that game, Chelsea should have won. Chelsea had so many chances in that game. The ones that they didn't even convert to shots. Nicholas Jackson, what a nightmare he had in the end, because he had 3 clear-cut chances where he should have scored from. The first one when he's running through on goal and he tries to round the keeper and he doesn't even get the shot off, is horrendous. Moss agreeing with me there. Chelsea should have won. Sorry, Miss Jackson. He didn't even get a miss that time. He didn't even take the shot. That's how poor it was. The decision for the free kick when it hit Jack Grealish's arm, for me, that's a penalty, especially from what we've seen in the other games. Man United game, penalty was given there on Haji Wright, but then how is that much different to what Jack Grealish has done in that scenario, where his arm is it's further out of his body than even Aaron Wan-Bissaka's was. Yeah, not a great decision at all from the referee. And I hate Chelsea fans got to feel aggrieved with that there, but can't really put too much blame on the referee, because Chelsea, you had so many chances to put that ball in the back of the net. And that's just the story of Chelsea's season as well. So where Pax has said Man United versus Coventry summed up their season, I think that game against Man City summed up Chelsea's. Flatter to deceive, look quite good in occasions, especially against the big clubs, but just don't have enough to pull it out of the to have that enough quality, that edge to take it and and really be a threat and be a top side in the Premier League this season. And ended up losing a game that they should have won. Credit to Man City though, because Man City pulled that one out of nowhere. Like, they were, you can understand Pep Guardiola and Bernardo Silva's frustrations given the short turnaround after playing 120 minutes. I agree with that. And I think that this is a problem that we have in England and within the Premier League as well, mainly, is we don't do enough to support our teams in European competition. In terms of, look at how the Bundesliga or La Liga, how they make sure that their European teams that are competing in Europe are best prepared in terms of rearranging fixtures when needed, making sure that there's enough time for rest between fixtures. Like Real Madrid didn't even play a game. Didn't they? I'm sure did they didn't play a game between from the first leg when Man City played like three or something, two or three, something stupid like that. But just moving a game by day, it wouldn't make that much of a difference to the opposition and those things. So just make sure that's what they should do, but they don't do enough. They don't do enough, and ultimately, I think that's why a big factor in why the Europe English teams have done so poorly in Europe this season, combined with the amount of injuries that a lot of clubs are having, the fatigue that we're clearly seeing. The teams, the top three teams, I think we saw this weekend and in the weekend before, that there's been a lot of fatigue that's setting into these legs. And then guess what we're doing, people? We're giving them more games to play. That's beyond crazy for me. They play too much games anyway, combined with an international football, because we've added more games that mean in much more importance now with the Nations League, and they're adding more games into the Euros. They're adding more games into the World Cup. They're adding even more games by the Club World Cup by expanding that, and they're adding more games in the Champions League. It's getting beyond ridiculous now. Yes, these players are playing a lot, getting paid a lot of money, but guess what? Getting paid a lot of money don't mean you're going to feel less tired and that your body ain't going to break down. Their bodies are breaking down. That's what we're seeing. Unprecedented amount of injuries. Look at how far developed sports science has gone, sports medicine. Look, in terms of recovery, trust me, I've studied this. I've seen the development of it. I've studied it. I studied this at university, so I know how far we have come with in that part of the game. So to see that having so much impact on the players, and Bernardo Silva spoke about it eloquently, excellently. And I've seen people say, "Oh, well, that's because Pep Guardiola could have played Mateus Nunes when he had 0 minutes." And then guess what? He gets knocked out, just like how Pep mentioned it against Liverpool. Gets knocked out, and they get slapped 3-0 because they bring in someone that's not quite at the level as Bernardo Silva. Whereas, let me say this, guys, there aren't many that are at the level of Bernardo Silva in world football because he's one of the best. So you are going to have a drop off at some sort. The same thing when people are talking about Arteta, the need to rotate now. Why is he going to rotate now when every game is a must-win game? It's very difficult to rotate now. And he couldn't necessarily rotate earlier in the season because do you remember, guys, when we were seeing the names like Cedric, when we were seeing the names James Sweet, Aiden Heaven, and those guys on the bench, because Fabio Vieira, Emil Smith-Rowe, Thomas Partey, the likes of those were all injured. Takehiro Tomiyasu. Those were the times where we could have rotated, but they weren't fit and available then. And that's what the problems are that our people are having with so much football. It's getting beyond ridiculous, and it's all for the love of the money, and it's not for the money for even the players necessarily, and it's because of the money for the higher ups. That's getting beyond. And let me just see what you guys and girls are saying here, and then we'll run through the Premier League fixtures quickly because we've got some talking points in that one as well, in those games too. Let's have a look. Sums up Chelsea. They set up well and create chances against top teams, but are so poor in both final thirds, except Palmer. Absolutely indeed. And I agree with that. That is Chelsea to a T. Santi says the arm that is in a very unnatural position. FA Joe Mount is a disgrace. Absolutely, Santi. And we're going to be talking much more about the PGMOL, that's for sure. I'm scrolling back up because I know I've missed a few. Thiago Silva, that's all I'm saying about this. Yeah, he's confirmed. It's from Fabrizio Romano that he will be leaving Chelsea at the end of the season. What a man, what a legend. And then when we're speaking about things that happened after the game in the Coventry and Man United game, seeing Thiago Silva in tears, breaking, knowing that this is going to be his last potential opportunity to win a trophy in the European game, and then Noni Madueke there laughing and smiling again shows you again it summarizes Chelsea. the players aren't at the level technically or mentally either. Some of them, not all. I think I do rate some of their players, but the squad players like Inani Madueke's, oh my word. Who has worse finishing? Who has the worst finishing touch? Jackson or Noodles? Darwin Núñez. I'm going to say that's a good question. I would go with Darwin Núñez. Yeah, I would go with Darwin Núñez. I think I've seen him miss a lot more sitters. I do. Do you know what? It's mad because until they both shoot, I rate them both. Because Núñez is a problem, and you know when he's running at you with such speed and that in behind, he's very hard to handle. But with Jackson, I do think he's quite technically sound. He's very good at linking up the ball, holding up the play. I mean, I remember watching him against Man City. I thought he was brilliant. I mean, even then he generated quite a few of them chances by himself, a bit like how Darwin Núñez does. But it's a good question. I'd probably just edge it to Darwin Núñez with the worst finishing. If Arsenal want to improve, just look down the road to North London. Arsenal top of the league. Tottenham aren't, so we don't need to look at them and copy what Spurs are doing. Even if you check my TL, fans can't take away the rivalry and look at the bigger picture. Yep, I know, and that's what I mean. Like King, I'm sure I've had the same discussions with our brother Luke as well. Luke, a big up to yourself each and every time watching it. I do like our football debates, but again, it's not really talking about what Man City are saying. I'm thinking about the bigger picture. Look at us. We're playing Chelsea tomorrow after playing on Saturday. Both Chelsea and Man City played Chelsea on Saturday too. That could easily be a Sunday. That could have been a Sunday game. And guess what? Arsenal versus Chelsea could have been a Wednesday game. There's no reason why that couldn't be moved on to Wednesday. That would help both teams recover. Cole Palmer might not play. And when we talk about the preview, that's what I'm saying. That Cole Palmer might not play because I know he's ill, but if the game was moved to a Wednesday, he'd have a bigger chance of playing because he'd get able to train tomorrow if he's feeling okay. That's what I'm saying. We're not doing enough to allow our best players to feature because they just want to add more games in. So the fixture schedule is going to get even more congested, which is all not for the benefit of the players. It's all for the benefit of the sponsors, of the clubs, but the people who don't really make much decisions at the decision makers at the club, but the ones who don't play, who aren't even involved in the playing squad, so they can sit back and watch as they look real in their sponsorship money. Yeah, it's crazy. League aren't rearranged. Lille match so ready for Villa. Smart. Lille were better than Villa both matches and lost on pens. Jonathan David, another winner yesterday. Again, Villa looked knackered. I watched that game. Villa looked shattered. The fair play to Villa for getting through it and reaching to pens, but they shouldn't really have because Lille should have scored more. And Villa were quite fortunate to grab their goal. And then that would have meant that all teams would have been knocked out. So, yeah, exactly, Moss. Exactly that. Club World Cup next summer. And then what's going to be followed by that, Moss? The summer after is going to be a World Cup with how many? 48 teams? Something stupid. The Premier League has not won enough CL trophies, especially when you look at the investment and the quality of players of the past 30 years. And you got to wonder why. You have to wonder why. We got 2 domestic cup competitions that most countries don't have. The FA and the Premier League don't do anything to help these clubs that are fighting in Europe. And people wonder why these clubs are selfish and want to make a breakaway league. The people wonder that. That's the reason, people. That is the reason. They don't feel valued. So guess what? We'll go. Tereak, all European competition teams shouldn't be even in the Carabao Cup. I hear that. Casey, that's one of the changes that I would make as well. That's a great change, Katie. I think I agree with that. If you're facing in Europe, you shouldn't be in it. But the reason they're not going to do that, Casey, it goes back to that again. The money. The European teams are the ones who are the money makers. Blood money equals more games, which is all they care about, equals players breaking down. Absolutely. Saka will be finishing a few years if he carries on like this. 100%. 100%. I've spoken about Arsenal and our mismanagement in terms of that, and Saka playing too many games at a very young age. People might say the same as Saliba, but Saka's been playing a lot of games since he was about 18, 19, whereas Saliba kind of started playing loads of football when he was 2021. So he had a couple more years to develop. Whereas Saka, because he was at such a high level, we are demanding so much of these players. And if Arsenal want to be competitive in every competition, like Pax, you criticised Arsenal not being competitive in multiple fronts, and you're right to do so. That's because we haven't seen Saka being able to perform at the level consistently. And if we are want to be competitive, we're going to need to play our best players in multiple competitions. But there's so many games that you just can't afford to do that. And because and if you want to win, you're going to have to, and they're going to break down, and it's going to be ruining our sport. So yeah, Arsenal take an element of that, but the biggest part goes to the amount of games that these national teams, like Saka plays every game for England too. He missed the last one. He missed the last group and the one in October, I believe, after the Man City one due to injury. Crazy to me. Still paid a lot and get all the best trainers, massages, young dudes. Was much harder in the old days. Again, but that doesn't mean there was actually more games. There's actually more games though, Moss. Now, like honestly, look at it, the intensity, the level that all these teams are playing. Like, look at the Premier League. The Premier League have got internationals all over the pitch. Sheffield United have got stopped internationals, first teamers that are playing at such a high level. Intensity, it is crazy. Doesn't mean that they don't feel fatigue. And guess what? Even back in the old days, Moss, where they drank, they partied, smoked ciggies, they wasn't getting as many injuries as they do now. Check the statistics. Check the amount of ACLs that players are getting now compared to back in the day when the challenges are worse. The challenges are worse back in the day. There's a correlation. There is a correlation. I think you're being quite you're being quite close-minded with your point, with you looking at it there. I think that's what you are. Mourinho 0 CLs in the Prem, Wenger 0 CLs, Ancelotti 0, Conte 0, Pep 1, Klopp 1, Sir Alex 2. Says a lot, doesn't it? Big up to yourself, Kendor. The excessive amount of games has to do with the Super League, only to please the big clubs. I'm hearing it, man. I'm hearing it. And the TV guys scheduling things, it's stupid. Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday is not a fair schedule. The Spurs are had on Sunday have had 2 weeks break. Exactly that. 3 games in 6 days. And bearing in mind the games that we had before that, we had a similar amount of schedule there. It's a bit mad. Big up to yourself, my bro. Ends each and every time. And that reminds me, everyone laughed at Klopp. Everyone took the mick out of Klopp when he spoke about this years ago because of tribalism. Tribalism is ruining our sport. And another way that people need to understand that tribalism is ruining our sport is because look at the Everton versus Nottingham Forest game. People don't want to talk about the referees. They'd rather talk about the stupid, they'd rather talk about the statement rather than the refereeing decisions. 3, I think 2 of them were stonewall penalties. 3, the other one, yeah, I can understand why Nottingham Forest feel aggrieved. But 3, yikes, that is poor. And the officiating is poor. The governance of this sport in this country is poor. No responsibility be put on the PGMOL. They'd rather investigate a tweet that an angry Nottingham Forest admin has done, which isn't right. It isn't a right tweet to do. They shouldn't do that. But guess what? What's not right, what's even wrong too, just as wrong as that, is the decisions. It's disgraceful. 100% it's getting worse. Yeah, it is. I couldn't believe what I saw. Arsenal versus Wolves. Red card for Kilman there. Because ends. I saw the exact same thing happen with Curtis Jones. Basuma, he got sent off. VAR quickly done that. I don't want to go too much on Wolves because they've suffered just as bad as, like, if not worse than Forest, just from VAR decisions. They've lost a lot. It is nuts, man, to see how the referees and how much they get away with. And then you're taught, and then Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, they're talking about defending these lot. It makes me angry. It does boil my blood. I'm not gonna lie, because we let these people get given a platform talking about Mark Clattenburg should resign. Talk about the decision making. Liverpool got a righteous goal taken away from them, which ultimately could decide the title. Man City could walk away with a title because Liverpool had a goal taken away from them. Arsenal, with the PGMOL, we had our problems with the Newcastle game, with the Aston Villa game in the first game, when we should have had a penalty, and then they disallowed a goal, which was, okay, dubious. There was no conclusive evidence in that. But there was conclusive evidence for the Liverpool one in not giving a goal. It is madness. It is crazy. And says this right here as well. Wish my voice had held weight. The people that the people that most listen to are a bunch of idiots. Absolutely. Lots and lots of money. Had a great huge parlay, all three. Needed a draw for the Everton versus Forest, and it got screwed. Hey, we're forgetting about that side of the sport as well, where a lot of bookmakers are making peas because of these referees. No backroom decisions, please. Nah, the FA and PGMOL deserve to hold this smoke. I can't lie. They do. But they'll get Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, their puppets, to start. Or defend us. Or, you know what? We'll give you interviews. We'll give you 2 interviews a year with Howard Webb if you start defending us. I saw Gary Neville trying to do geometry to us, like saying, how the ball's gone out. This isn't this, that, the other, at the Spurs ground, just for the same thing to happen to them. It is a joke, man. I can't. And they get away with it. And this country, whenever you try to question someone's integrity, you can't do that because there's no such thing as corruption. No, that's below the line. You can't call someone a cheat. You can't call someone they're corrupt because no, that's wrong. How come? Manchester, the most successful club in the past decade in Man City, I've broken the rules 115 times and are only being investigated for it. Corruption is a thing. I bet if we turn around and say the Serie A is corrupt, people have no problem saying that, just because those clubs that have been founded to be with corruption, Juventus, your whatnot, the Nana Drone scandal with all the performance enhancers. Who's to say that's not happening? Who's to say that there's no corruption with the referee? I'm seeing Michael Oliver benefit Man City in so many decisions. Okay. But there's no such thing as corruption. You can't call it out. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Yeah, so sorry, guys. It got me angry. Neville and Carragher are disgusting pundits. I'm so tired, and I have to stop listening to anything they say because they're not honest with people. Exactly that. Exactly. It can't be conclusive in the Arsenal match. They can't score anyway. You got to yourself, Casey. I thought he was being serious for it then. You're screwing fancy betting, you will lose viewers. Too cocky about the Prem people. Can screw it up with this VAR and City cheating. Meanwhile, Forest and others lose points. And Forest could lose their Premier League status because of refereeing decisions. I'm sure Neto and the Romans were corrupt. Nero, I thought he's talking about football. Bro, I know this is off topic, but did you see that Barcelona goal that got disallowed over the line in corruption? Because football, yeah, over the line. I saw that. Corruption in football is crazy. Putting me off the sport I know. And again, this ends, my brother. I love that the fact that we did the Let's Talk Football show. And I hope you're enjoying your holiday as well, my man. Because, bro, go check that out on Ensman's TV. I remember when I said to you that the officiating in England's terrible, but it's not much better over in Europe either. I think we saw that with a few Champions League games, but that is beyond a disgrace because they don't want to put goal line technology. They don't want to put goal line technology. That's disgusting. The penalty decision, again, there's no consistency with that. European ref makes that call against Saka, and then they give that same penalty, no hesitation. No hesitation. Again, you don't know what's a penalty these days. Double standards only exist in the UK, bro. I know, absolutely. Big up to yourself, Mr. 200. Sorry, I didn't see you. We'll catch up tomorrow. Yeah, it's all okay. It's all good. Don't worry. Thanks, my bro. Can't wait. Yeah, we run the next episode. 100%, man. We definitely need to. It's okay for Neville to call out the players and managers on TV every week, but the people in football is how it's directly sorry, but the people in football how directly get impacts by bad decisions has to be quiet. The math is not mathing. Exactly. We're the ones getting impacted, but we have to stay quiet and we can't question the decisions that these officials are making and inquire why isn't this could be corruption. Why can't we say that? Madness. But guys, I've got a stream to do in 10 minutes and we haven't even gone to a single game and we've not even reviewed all of them. Everton Forest, massive win for Everton, by the way. Huge win for them there. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth. Villa just keep on going. When a goal down, Ollie Watkins, my word, he's on the plane. We know that for sure. Is he got any real chance of getting into the England starting 11? I'm not too sure, guys. Just because of Harry Kane and the quality he's got, and then the quality we've got in those wide areas that we're already going to be missing out on. But he's had a fantastic season. He'll be on that plane for sure. Liverpool, roll on. Big win for Liverpool. They looked much more impressive. Cody Gakpo, he was immense. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, that's the difference. He's the man for the big moments. We've seen him before his injury, which he got against us in the FA Cup. He was probably let's say he was on form, the best player in the league at that point. Forget being the best right back. He's one of the best players in the league for sure. Outstanding free kick. And that is so important in this time of the season. It doesn't really matter too much about performances. It's about getting a win. And even before that free kick, the cross he played in for Luis Diaz, Trent is out of this world. You know how much I love Trent already, guys. Ridiculous quality. But I was very impressed with Cody Gakpo, and he's stepped up in the last couple of weeks. I was watching the first leg where they lost to Atalanta. Cody Gakpo was really good in that game, by the way. Carrying the ball, looks a lot more aggressive and in his decision making. My problem with Cody Gakpo is he's looked a little bit tentative in his decision making and indecisive, whereas he's looked like he's got a lot more confidence, engaging, and yeah, for Liverpool fans, let's hope that he can carry on with that and he can really do it and he can really kick on because he's been a slowish start. We've seen him spits and spurts in moments. We've seen him play well, but not have that consistency. But now he's built up a little bit of run of form. Let's hope. Well, for Liverpool, not me, Liverpool, hope he can really kick on from that. N says Gakpo, 100%. He's been on form in the past few weeks. Trent, yeah, exactly. King saying Bradley hype. I'm sorry. The Trent disrespect is so shameful. He is a world-class baller, and I will take him at heart. Arsenal. Me too, in a heartbeat. And I've been on N's man's channel, big Liverpool fan, a big Liverpool community there. I've seen it, man. I've seen like the right people writing off Trent and saying, I just got to play Bradley. Nah. Bradley, I'm sorry. I know he has his deficiencies, but Trent, he's world class. He's a match winner. He's a match winner. Yes, you need, when he's playing at right back, you kind of need to alter your team a little bit, but you do that for your world class players. That's what you do. You do that for your match winners. He will get you more points. It will get you trophies. Trent will. He's the one who gets you trophies. Conor Bradley's done an amazing job covering, and especially with little to no Premier League experience before that. Quality, but Trent is the man, and Trent will be there. He's a midfielder. He's a midfielder playing at right back, but again, he's one of the best right backs in world football. He is, and it's mad if he's a midfielder playing at right back, but he's one of the best right backs in world football. So don't know if you want to do that. Necessarily move him because it changes a lot. Receiving the ball where you're back to play. Yeah, I think also when you play midfield as well, Moss, you don't have that license to be an extra man. You're a marked man a lot more. And what we see with Trent's deficiencies in defending, people think, oh yeah, in a 1v1 position out wide, you'll probably get exposed more with that there. I'm not too sure. Because when you're out wide, you're further away from goal. The goal is central, remember. So if Trent gets beat like that in a central position, it's much more likelihood to matter to lead to a goal in there. So yeah, I don't know. Keep him at right back for now, mate, and then test it out in pre-season. And yep, it's crazy. Our fans are all over the place, but I blame some of our content creators for that. Yeah, it happens a lot, bro. It happens a lot. I've seen all of the for content creators moving mad. Big up to yourself as well, G, in the building. Trent is a world-class footballer. Tariq's a world-class host. Appreciate that. And yes, I have waffled so much. I am running out of time. And we've got to get into the predictions. Guys, so that was the Trent topic. Luton, Brentford, massive win for Brentford. Johan Visson, Brian Mbuemo. Oi, all of that without Ivan Toney. Sheffield United, Burnley, poor goals from Sheffield United to concede. I thought they played quite well too. Wolves versus Arsenal. Arsenal 2-0 win. Again, not a vintage performance, but so solid from us defensively away from home. 6 clean sheets in a row away from home in the Premier League. Outstanding. Didn't really give Wolves a sniff, and the one chance we did give them, David Rice saved it. Leandro Trossard with a great finish. Arsenal's equivalent to Diogo Jota, it feels like, because Jota scored on the weekend and he wasn't exactly great, but he's just inevitable. And the same feels like with Trossard. Trossard didn't particularly have a great game against Wolves, but he still managed to score there. Odegaard, wonderful finish. And Arsenal looked like we ended the game stronger than how we began. So that's good signs, and hopefully that we can feel a little bit better about that. So yeah, I've just got to move on now into the fixtures, guys, and I've probably got to run through them quickly. I know I'm going to be late for that stream, but yeah, it is what it is. We'll take it. Hopefully they'll let me off. They'll see that I'm streaming and they know that I've waffled a bit too much. But guys, we're going to run through the games ever so quickly, where you guys must get, if you want to enter the predictions league, all predictions must be entered before the first fixture of the game week. And the way that you send those predictions in is by leaving them in the comment section at the end of the stream. In terms of the point system, you get 3 points for a correct score and 1 point for a correct result. So for example, Arsenal play Chelsea. If Arsenal win the game by 2-0, and you predict an Arsenal win by 2-0, then guess what? You will get the 3 points. However, if you predicted a 3-1 victory and Arsenal win 2-0, then you will only get 1 point. Arsenal 1-0 and it finishes 2-0, same thing. But if you predict a draw and Arsenal win 2-0, or Chelsea to win and Arsenal win 2-0, you know exactly what that means. 0 points. Why did T think he would do a 1 hour stream? Exactly. I can't do it. Delusion is real, King. Trust. Look at you, man. You man are on to me. Hey, I waffle too much, man. I can't be doing these 1 hour streams, especially trying to review the weekend's fixtures and that. I needed to create a separate stream for that. I wish I had more time in a working day to do so. But yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna try and fit these predictions in the next 10 minutes, guys. So if I don't read out your predictions in the chat, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna try and get through these quickly, but make sure you get them in the comment section. Arsenal versus Chelsea. Okay, I did speak about Cole Palmer. He might not be available. The same it goes for Malo Gusto and Ben Chilwell. For Arsenal, we could welcome the return of Takahiro Tomiyasu, who missed that Wolves game with a knock. But I think the injury news for this one is massive, because with Chelsea, they're missing their key man, but they're not just missing their key man, they're missing their key right-hand side. Marlo Gusto, I've been very impressed with, and he has done well in his 1v1 defensive duties. I remember watching him at the Etihad, he was fantastic there. And then he's really stepped up for them. He's been one of the few, I don't know, it's harsh to really say this, but one of the few signings that they've made that I've been really impressed with. That right-hand side has been Chelsea's like their strongest by a mile. A bit like Arsenal, where our right-hand side is definitely our strongest side, with our elite players working over there, Saka, Ben White, and Martin Odegaard. But we've needed a lot of work on the left, and it'll be interesting to see who Arsenal do play on that left-hand side ourselves. Is it going to be a Takehiro Tomiyasu if he's fit? Are we looking to make sure that he's going to be ready for the weekend as we face Spurs? And he's more suited for that battle there, coming up against Brennan Johnson, one of the fastest players in the league. Or are we going to go with Jakub Kivior, who started really okay, it was quite mixed. He started well. I thought he looked good going forward, but then he had those 2 or 3 errors that led to the Wolves' biggest opportunity where João Gomez hit the bar after a save from Raya. It was poor from Jakub Kivior, and you can't afford to really do that against Chelsea, who are a better team than Wolves and do have better quality. Although, with Chelsea, they might not necessarily take those chances themselves, but any given day, that they can take it, that they do have that sort of quality that they can cause us trouble. And game state is so important. You don't want to go 1-0 down, especially in these types of, at this part of the season. It takes a lot out of you physically, mentally. So Arsenal, massive one here. Are we going to start with Zinchenko? Who knows? But I think how the game is going to go, I'm going to go with my predictions in here, guys. I think Arsenal are going to win by 2-1. I can't go with the clean sheet because we just don't keep many clean sheets at home. I think we concede a lot more chance. We concede not a lot more, but a few more chances at home than we do even away from home. Chelsea are a good team. I've got a bit of respect. I've got respect for them in terms of how they play in these big games. It's more when they come up against sides that they should be beating. They have problems with. Apart from Liverpool, they've done really well in the games that they've in these type of big 6 fixtures. I'm hoping that we do face the type of Chelsea that played against Liverpool and we're able to put them to the sword. But I think it's going to be a 2-1 Arsenal victory. Going to be tight, going to be close. But yeah, I think it's going to be 2-1 and Arsenal will move on and try and put their minds at all out focus for that game against Tottenham, which we'll obviously look into a bit more depth in because I won't be reviewing these games here unless I do it in another stream. Let's see. Arsenal 3-1, says Pax. 2-1 Chelsea, says Ends. Wow. 3-0 Arsenal. 1-0 Chelsea, says Casey. Already predicted a 3-1. May as well keep it. Yep, hear it. Gusto has beaten no Marlow and he's out of here. Yep, no Gusto, no most likely, do you know what? I doubt that Palmer will start. I think Palmer might be on the bench, but I don't think Gusto will be involved at all. 1-0 to the Arsenal. I think we'll be tired. If both Palmer and Gusto are out, then it's 2-0. T will lose his head when he gets to predicting for United. Kendor, I know, man. We spoke about them earlier. It's mad. It is mad. I can multitask. Lolo, what is G streaming as well? T, you want G stream after another? Hey, we'll have to see. Is G streaming now or something? Hey, big up to yourself, man. Did I miss something? Did I miss? Anyway, well, let me see. I'm on KG stream after this one. Yeah. I just subbed to GTV. Was on with Stevie Strag. Yeah, he was. Fair enough. I'm on KG's after this, my bro. So I didn't know. Big up to yourself though, G. And that's Eric King starting lineup: Raya, Tommy, Saliba, Gabriel Zini, Rice, Thomas Partey, Erdegaard, Jesus, Kai, and Nelly. So Saka again, King. We're gonna have to chat about this afterwards. Because no Saka. It's a brave decision, boy. But let's go anyway. Kevin Garnett, yeah, nah. Kevin Gary. But next one, Everton versus Liverpool. Massive game. Merseyside derby. I've seen Ends go with a Chelsea win in that one. So maybe I've gone a little bit with my heart and how I think the game's gonna go. This one is tense. In terms of what team news, really, from what we know and what we guarantee so far, Beto won't be available after he got concussed yesterday because there is that concussion protocol. I think it's 10 days you have to miss out from, where you're not even allowed to do like any football activity in that 10-day period after a concussion, which he definitely received because he was substituted off for it. So, yeah, no Beto, potentially no Calvert-Lewin either. I think that'll be a big loss. If Calvert-Lewin's not fit and available for this one, I can only see a Liverpool win. But I've gone with Calvert-Lewin being fit, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw. I just think with a Merseyside derby away from home, midweek, Liverpool played well, but have had a lot of games in a tank recently. I think it will be a tough ask. Everton, one, I know, so the pressure's off them a little bit, but they're going to want to echo into this and try and, the last time that Klopp faces Everton in the Merseyside derby, they're going to want to try and burst that bubble. They're going to want to try and really stink out the gaff. I think that they'll be able to cause Liverpool problems on the counter because Everton are a good team in terms of how I know this Chelsea slapped them 6-0, but I kind of think that benefits them in this game because they'll be aware of that. They'll be aware of what a good team can do. So they'll have to shut up shop a little bit more, but they'll be able to cause Liverpool problems on the counter. Teams can do that against Liverpool. That's just how they play. They'll try and outscore you and try and outdo you in that and overpower you in that aspect. But I just think that Everton at home, the Goodison crowd, sorry, not Anfield. That used to be their home crowd. The Goodison crowd will just try and edge them over. So I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Let's see what you're saying. Enz has gone with a 2-1 Liverpool win to sneak it. Pax has also gone with a 1-1 draw. Everton's got 3-1, says Shay. Needs Saka for the North London derby. We need to smash Spurs. We've got 5 days in between that though, King. 5 days. So I don't know if he's going to rest Saka. I don't think there's going to be much room for rotation. Everton 1-1. They always give him a goal. Another Everton 1, Liverpool 1. Many people have gone for 1-1s. Paxton Dyche, can you do something for me? Exactly. I'm back with my crazy prediction. Exactly that there. I love it. It's not necessarily that crazy. Folks, don't forget to hit the like button. Tariq, are you joining KG stream? If so, you can find T at the KG the Comedian. Exactly. I will be. I've just got to wrap this up. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I'm sorry. I'm waffling too much, Santi. Let's go now into the next game. Brighton, Man City. Again, I'm going to go through this one fairly quickly just because I'm pressed for time a little bit. I've gone with a Man City win. I am hoping, though, again, I'm sure Enz will be hoping here too, and everyone else, that this could be the game where Man City drop points. Brighton have had a rest. Hopefully, they'll have some players back. Man City, off the back of that semi-final game, which took a lot out of them, already had tired legs. They have got a few more days off than what like Arsenal or Chelsea do, in fact. But Brighton have had a few more. I'm hoping that Brighton are going to be reinvigorated. De Zerbi's going to be finding some form with them. However, I just think defensively, Brighton are not good enough at the moment to hold out Manchester City. And I just think Man City will have Erling Haaland returning, who didn't play in that game against Chelsea with a bit of a muscular injury, apparently. But I think they just didn't want to take too much risk with him, knowing that they've got a few, 6 games essentially away from the Premier League title. I just think that's what they're looking at. And yeah, I think that's what they're going to be. Yeah, they're just going to win this in the end. Haaland, she's got too much firepower, and Man City will win by 3-1. I hope I'm wrong. Because that if Arsenal win, Liverpool win, and Man City drop points, that makes the title race even more tasty. Because I do think, Arsenal and Man City, Liverpool have the capability to drop more points, of course, with the games that they've got. Whereas people kind of think with Man City having the easier running, the experience, they're not going to drop many more points from now to the end of the season. I think they're going to draw at least one game. But if they draw this one, hey, it make it really interesting. But Pax doesn't think it's going to be. So he's gone for the 3-0 Man City win. 2-1 Brighton, says Shay. 2-1 Brighton, says King. Wow, got to go look at what Moss already predicted. And he predicted a 3-2 City. I was hoping that there would be another Brighton win. De Zerbi derby. I'm not voting with my heart. Exactly. For the Wolves match, is Cunha still out for midweek tea? Yeah, he is. And that's not the next game, but the game after. Man United, because Kendall said, the nightmare to predict. Let me get this prediction off screen. I've gone with the Man United 2-0 win. That's because you're facing such crap opposition in Sheffield United. But you faced a team that's probably worse than the Sheffield United team in Coventry, but managed to lose against them. But you're at home. Surely you're not going to lose this one. 2-0. It's not going to be beautiful to watch. Look at what Pax has just said there. 9-8. It could happen. It wouldn't surprise me. And Man United being, what, 9-0 up at that point? Or 8-0 up. And then it goes to 8-8 and they score a last-minute winner. Man United 4-0, says Shay. Me too. 2-0 United over the Blaze. Guys, get your predictions in the chat afterwards. Not now, actually. Put them in the comment section because I'm going to quickly rush through the next two. New Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. I actually think this is going to end in a Newcastle win. Crystal Palace didn't really touch upon them, and it was disrespectful about their start. Massive, great win that was. Some beautiful goals. Eze Elise, when they're cooking, they're doing bits at there. So yeah, 2-1 Newcastle. Wolves 1, Bournemouth 2. That's what I've gone for in the next game, guys. Please go make sure you get your predictions in at the end. I've definitely got to run now, guys. So let me just run through this quickly. This is what the predictions table is currently looking like, ladies and gents. Man just sitting pretty at the top with 250 points, but Moss is not far behind him with 243. And that's because Moss has closed the gap and he's done very well. So there's a 7 points difference at the moment between Mange and Moss. There's a bit of a bigger gap over there. There's 21 points between me and Moss, but there's not too much of a gap. Okay, and there's 19 points between me and Pax. But again, there's still all to play for. Mr. 200 and 179, and Shay's really risen up the table. He's past the 100-point mark, and he's clearly over that, and he's doing quite well in 6th position. Are you going to get a Europa League spot, Shay? It looks like you will do in the end. And then this is what the predictor of the month is looking like for April. People, ladies and gents, Moss is sitting pretty with 30 points, 5 correct scores. Mange and Pax are tied in second with 24 each. Interesting. And they both got 2 correct scores. Big up to yourself, Pax. Big up to yourself, Mange. And Moss, are you going to win the second one in a row? It could be. It could happen. But Pax and Mange are going to try and make sure that doesn't happen. And Shay, if you're wondering about your points, you've got 17 points for the month of April. So you're not too far. You're what? 3 plus 4, 7 points away from Mange and Pax. So yeah, not too bad. But guys, that is going to wrap up the show. I'm running late. I waffled way too much to begin with, but it was fun. It was good waffle. I just need to do this more often, don't I, guys? Big up to each and every one of you that is here watching now. I just want to say before I go, big up to yourself, Moss. Big up to yourself, King, Shay, Pax, Ends, G, Santi, of course, as well. It's redirecting you guys to go over there. Kendall was in the building here too. Big up to yourself, my brother. And of course, the man himself in Casey. Love to you all, my people. Really do appreciate you tuning in. And sorry I had to rush that ending there. I didn't think that the first half was going to be as long. I was only meant to do 30 minutes. But you know how we get over here. Guys, gonna love and leave you. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be doing... I want to do I'm going to do a match reaction for tomorrow. I'm going to do a match reaction. And King, Moss, let me know if you're available, Moss and King, because we'll get you on if you want for the match reaction for tomorrow, if that's okay, guys. Yeah, so we can discuss it a little bit more in terms of how the game is. After the game will finish probably about, let's say if we did the match reaction for about 10:15. Is that okay, guys? Let me know. Speak to me afterwards, guys. But I'm going to love and leave you. Take care. We're out. Peace. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to, can we get the pop up? Yeah, we can. Subscribe if you're new, and we're out. Get your comments, get your predictions in the comments.